Welcome to the Women Leaders Association Daily Member Podcast, where we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland. And in each Daily Member Podcast, we will pick out a great speaker from one of our meetings that we thought you would enjoy. You can access hundreds of recent speakers, book summaries, great articles, and more at no additional charge through your membership portal. If you would like to get involved in a Women Leaders Association mastermind group or find a networking group near you, or if you just need access to the membership portal, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com to be connected. Now let's tune in for this incredible message.
Let's do this. 17 years ago, I read a tiny article in the newspaper which would change my life. Calling All Tough Chicks, the headline read. The DC Roller Girls, as in Washington, DC, were forming a league and looking for skaters at a recruiting event. And I mean, I was a child of the 70s. I went to Skateland. I grew up on roller skates. I thought, why not at least try? So when I went to this party to sign up, the league roster was already full. So I added my name to the waiting list. Now, waitlisters could not participate in league practices, but there was an open invitation scrimmage on Saturday mornings outside in a playground downtown. So in a moment of reckless abandon or pure stupidity, I went. It's October in DC. I'll paint the picture for you. The air was full of that wonderful crisp smell of fall. Leaves are turning colors on the trees. People are out walking their dogs and their babies. There's a makeshift derby track set up out of plastic cones, and I'm in full padding, about to skate aggressively next to a dozen women I've never met before with zero training. And just like that, the whistle blows and the pack of skaters is rolling. And I'm doing everything in my power to mimic what everyone else is doing to blend into that pack. Silently reciting my own little Finding Nemo mantra, just keep skating, what do we do? And boom, I don't even know who hit me or if anyone hit me, but I fell backwards and hit the ground hard. My skates go up in front of me, my butt hits the cement, which was fine because I got a lot of padding there. My hands are behind me, propping myself up, and I actually had to take a breath to realize what happened. Where am I? What is my name? I'm looking for the other skaters and they're nowhere to be found. Oh, there they are, all the way on the other side of the track, still skating. And I'm still sitting right where I am, stuck. At least I felt stuck. Preparing this speech, I've considered how many times I've tried something new in my life. Especially when it comes to my career, which itself has taken quite a few interesting turns. Every lesson, or I should say many of the lessons that I learned in Derby apply to the work world. And I would love to share 5 of them with you today. Lesson number 1, fall forward and recover quickly. So I'm sitting there looking up into that beautiful sky, wondering if I'd completely lost my mind. And should I stop now while I still have all my teeth? But I decide not to quit. I kept skating that day and for many days after that. And a couple of months later, my name moved from the waiting list to the league roster, and I started practicing for real. Now, new skaters are lovingly referred to as fresh meat, and beef tips right here learned how to skate low, fall forward, and how to recover. Because falling is part of the sport, just like football or rugby. It's expected. You learn how to fall forward and you learn how to redirect that downward energy forward directly into the momentum of your recovery. So this is 2007. The Women's Flat Track Derby Association mandated that a skater had exactly 3 seconds to recover from a fall in order to catch up to the rest of the pack. And more importantly, her team. Why? Because her team needs her. So I think back to that first scrimmage 17 years ago and how if I'd only known just to flip over and take off from my toe stops, I could have rejoined the pack in seconds. I would learn to recover. And also, I would learn that I could fit a lot of 4-letter words into 3 seconds. 3-second recovery. What does that look like in business? There are moments in your career that will knock you off your skates. Presentation doesn't go well. You miss a deadline. You don't get the job you wanted, and it's going to hurt. I urge you to try to remember that 3-second recovery rule, because you can either sit there and wallow, which accomplishes nothing really, or you can get up, refocus your energy forward, and get back in the game, back to the team that needs you. Lesson number 2, learn to pivot. Was I the fastest derby skater? Nope. The hardest hitter? Absolutely not. But when I was skating, my eyes were everywhere, watching everyone around me, watching the track, watching the timer, watching when the opposing team was trying to score. This awareness and the fact that I would be communicating loudly with my teammates the whole time made me well qualified for the position in flat track derby called the pivot, or pivot if you're a Friends fan. So now the pivot is known as the thinking role in roller derby. You're managing the team while you are skating. You're watching your teammates, you're regulating the speed of the pack, you're calling plays. Now, coincidentally, right around 2008, when I retired from derby, I decided to pivot the focus of my career away from being a designer to managing designers. I must have liked shouting at people. So I became a project manager, and suddenly I was learning the world of estimates, schedules, scope creep, you name it. Now, I was still managing design projects at the time. So like the classic definition of the verb to pivot, I had one leg firmly in design. With the other, I was learning to solve different kinds of problems creatively, and I loved it. A few years later, I'd pivot again and expand my management role to include video production, e-learning, and eventually the start to finish development of enterprise level software. What? My recommendation, when it makes sense, learn to pivot. You have the power to modify your career or your life in a major way, even if it's just by taking a series of half steps like I did, because suddenly those half steps start to add up and you turn around and you're in a whole new world that you never thought was possible. A whole new world. All right, I'm not singing any more Disney. I'll spare you the pain. P.S. I don't actually yell at people anymore much. Lesson number 3, embrace being fresh meat. Now, as I mentioned, new skaters are referred to as fresh meat. And as fresh meat, your number one job is to learn and practice. And there's always someone to learn from, even if it's your competition. During that first season, my team, named Scare Force One, yes, I named the team, asked a team from a more advanced league in Baltimore, Maryland, for a friendly scrimmage. And yes, they wiped the floor with us, but they also taught us a ton. And we were stronger for it, not to mention heavily bruised. In business, we use the term early career hires, and it's always exciting to work with people who are so full of curiosity. But curiosity isn't defined by age. When I took on something like video production, I wasn't an early career hire, but I was definitely fresh meat. And I realized that there was a lot to learn. So what did I do? I looked around, and it was obvious that I was surrounded by incredibly smart people who were passionate about their work. And if they loved to talk, I loved to listen. And I asked questions and more questions. So, true story, sidebar. I used to joke that I had 8 bosses in 4 different years at one job when I was a project manager. I kind of felt like they didn't know what department to put me in. But in hindsight, I realized that I had this amazing opportunity to report to and learn from 8 fiercely talented people who specialized in communication strategy, product development, software engineering, finance, operations. I absorbed as much as I could from each of them, how individual functions within a business operate, what were their pain points, and ultimately how they worked best together. Embrace being fresh meat. Recognize learning opportunities and stay open to feedback. It may be terrifying when you step into unfamiliar territory, but hold on to a growth mindset where you know that skills can be developed through dedication and hard work. Remain open to possibility. Number 4, acknowledge your strengths. About 4 years ago, I had the tremendous opportunity to craft a new role for one of SAS Institute's 5 dedicated lines of business, the Fraud and Security Intelligence Division. They needed a chief of staff. Oh my God. When people change careers, it's not uncommon to experience a bit of anxiety. I've talked about recovering from a fall and staying open to possibilities. But what I haven't yet mentioned is that I had a huge case of crippling imposter syndrome with every pivot I've made. I mean, I've had a series of wonderful mentors during my career, and I work hard to catch on quickly, but I didn't go to school for business. How ironic that I would now be working with fraud experts. And when I first stepped into the role, I felt like a total fraud. For each new career adventure I started, it seemed like I was essentially starting from scratch at the bottom of the mountain again and again, sort of imagine myself as this like rock climber going up. Until somewhere along my journey, I turned around, I looked down to see the path I had taken, and I realized that I wasn't starting over each time. I was just climbing higher. And in creating this chief of staff role, I could use all the tools and skills I had acquired from each stop along the way. It was all in my skate bag. So what happened to that roller girl who showed up to scrimmage 17 years ago? My teammates and I would go on to win the season championship that first year the league was formed. We skated our faces off for months in preparation for that moment. And when the time came to show up, we knew we could win, and we did. These lessons that you'll learn throughout your career, they don't leave you. And through your journey, they mold you into the unique, creative, technical, passionate, funny, fabulous, and humble people you are. And you deserve to be in the room because you worked hard along the way, and you got this. Lesson 5, don't fit in, stand out. So we're going to go on the Wayback Machine. When I graduated from design school back in 1992, I realized I had a few concerns because I went to Rochester Institute of Technology. I thought my portfolio coming out of school wouldn't have the creative street cred of some of the artsier schools that were popular at the time. And I'm talking about Maryland Institute, SCAD in Savannah, Pratt and Parsons in New York City. But it did have street cred. And I brought my own unique skill as a design problem solver. And I worked my way up the creative ladder and then changed careers, pivoting, there's that word again, from graphic design to project management, and then again to business operations. And now suddenly the tide has turned, and I'm a designer by degree, standing in the world of business and technology as fresh meat again. All of this angst I've had over the years, wanting to blend in with other skaters, when really this non-linear journey that I've taken has me standing out, leveraging my unique blend of skills and helping people of different disciplines work together to achieve great things. Your career path may not be in a straight line, just like the people you may one day be interviewing to work for you. Remember that each of us has a unique blend of skill sets that can come together in fascinating ways and open us up to surprising and rewarding opportunities. Remember how tough you are, how fast you can learn, and how your unique journey has brought you to this moment. When life calls with unexpected opportunities, put on your skates and answer the call. I can promise you, every step you make large or small, is a step forward. Thank you.
Hey, my friend, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, be sure to rate, review, and share your biggest takeaway. And if you're wanting more, you can access hundreds of recent speakers, book summaries, great articles, and more at no additional charge through your membership portal. You can also get involved in a Women Leaders Association mastermind group or a networking group near you. Or if you just need to access your membership portal, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com to be connected. Because here at Women Leaders Association, we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. That's all for today, my friends. Bye for now.